everybody, it's Broadway.com live at 5. It is August 29th, and we have a Tony-winning star here today.
We do.
We have Reed Birney from 1984, and you didn't even get to introduce yourself, Beth. My apologies.
I'm Beth Stevens.
You
This
are.
is Andy Lefkowitz.
Yes.
And we are going to feel the burn. And that's
We
not
sure
the only
are.
time I'm going to make that joke.
Yes.
So just bear with me, everyone. But first, we have some news.
We sure do. First, some sad news. Bernard Pomerantz, the Tony-winning playwright of The Elephant Man, passed away on August 26th. He was 76 years old and had a great slew of credits. Most notably, he wrote The Elephant Man, which won the Tony Award in 1979 for Best Play and spawned 2 revivals on Broadway. And
with Billy Crudup and Bradley Cooper. Big names drawn to that play.
Indeed. So R.I.P. Bernard Pomerantz.
Yeah, sad news. But then there's also good news, right?
Good news.
You got to temper it.
Yes,
you know?
we're going to temper it a bit. So Daniel Breaker is joining the cast of Hamilton tonight on Broadway as Aaron Burr. He plays the role on Broadway after having appeared in Chicago's production of Hamilton. Tony nominee for Passing Strange.
We'll never forget that.
Never forget
Ever,
that.
ever.
Love Passing Strange. So that's some exciting news.
You
How about
love puns.
Yeah, I do love puns.
Are you going to tell him to break our leg? I'm sorry. I don't know what's wrong with me today.
Break a leg.
I know.
Wow.
Sorry,
Break
Matt.
a leg.
Sorry.
Nice.
Hey, I have some news too.
Yes, what do you have?
Okay, so there's this show, Jagged Little Pill, based on Alanis Morissette's gigantic, big album in the 90s.
Yes.
This is directed by Diane Paulus. We already knew that. Here's the new thing. Beyonce's choreographer, like she only has one, but her big choreographer, C.D. Larby-Cherkaoui, has joined the creative team, so that's pretty cool. And he did Beyonce's 2017 Grammy performance.
Yes.
Very memorable, very memorable. Jagged Little Pill is going to be in Cambridge at ART, and who knows? Can I just say, we don't know what the future
Broadway?
holds.
Maybe?
We don't know.
Maybe?
We do not know. We're going to temper that great news.
Yes.
There's a memorial for Sam Shepard, the late great playwright and actor. That's at La Mama on October 7th at 3 o'clock at the Ellen Stewart Theater. Sam Shepard began his career downtown, and La Mama is one of those great downtown venues. And of course, we know that Sam Shepard died on July 27th. Did I just say that? July 27th? At the age of 73. He's known for True West, Buried Child, so many great plays, and of course an Oscar nominee for The Right Stuff as an actor. So there's a good way to memorialize and commemorate one of my writing heroes.
Aw.
Aw.
Now some happier news. Original stars of the Chicago revival, Joel Grey and Bebe Neuwirth, are going to pay tribute to Anne Reinking, their choreographer and co-star, as part of the NYC Dance Alliance Foundation Gala. That's going to take place on October 1st at 6 o'clock p.m. at the Skirball Center at NYU. Joining that group of stars will be Charlotte Dambois, Amra Faye Wright, Patricia Birch.
Some Roxy, some Velmas,
Yes,
you know.
indeed, and the original cast members of the Tony-winning musical Fosse. It's
Cool.
gonna be a fun night.
That's cool. There's going to be a lot of wrist movements, I think,
Yes.
in that one. What else is going on?
We have a new cast member announced for Bedlam's new take on Peter Pan. Brad Heberly has joined the company, and that's going to be directed by Eric Tucker, and kickoff performances on November 11th at the Duke on 42nd Street.
Amazing.
Yes.
Okay, if you go to Broadway.com, just wait until after the whole Reed Birney thing,
Yes.
but after that, go to Broadway.com and watch this amazing music video of Laura Michelle Kelly, who's in The King and I on tour singing Hello Young Lovers.
My heart, it's
His
beautiful.
Heart.
It's
really beautiful and worth
Yes.
seeing. And we also have Christy Altomar's new vlog, Backstage at Anastasia. She does a wonderful, here's a little sneak peek, she has a wonderful ritual with Mary Beth Peel before every single performance. Watch it for that, but also a lot of funny, crazy shenanigans.
Yes.
So we will be right back with Reed Birney from 1984. Stay with us.
What's up, everybody? My name is Matt Roden here for Broadway.com at the opening night of 1984 on the Broadway. And tonight I will not be asking anyone real questions because we are playing a game that I like to call Phobias 101. I'm going to name types of phobias.
Okay.
And you're going to tell me what you think they mean. Let's start with turophobia.
Turophobia?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, turophobia. That is a fear of turtles.
The fear of the ground, of Earth.
Fear of dirt.
It's a really common fear.
Snapping turtles or just like all turtles?
Any turtle.
All turtles.
Household, tiny little pet turtles.
Yeah. Omphalophobia.
Fear of making a mistake.
Fear of small birds with glasses.
People who are afraid of Jimmy Fallon.
That's a rough one.
Anytime they
That's a rough
see him in cab TV, they freak out.
Xanthophobia.
Xanthophobia, yeah, easy. Fear of xylophones, green xylophones.
It's interesting because people have taken a lot of Xanax, and they've taken so much of it that at this point they're actually afraid of feeling calm.
Fear of Xanax.
Paganophobia.
The fear of dogs that can quote Shakespeare.
I feel like it's related to Pokemon.
Fear of pagodas.
Phobophobia.
Phobophobia. Phobophobia is the popular Vietnamese dish pho. Is so terrifying to some people. Just the smell of it, the idea of it, the concept is too much.
The fear of silent children.
That is kind of that is a terrifying.
Yes,
thought,
it is.
though.
Fear of phobias.
Yes, that one is right. That one you got right.
There's a new best musical on Broadway that you'll want to see again and again and again. The New York Times says, I loved it. It's a miracle on Broadway. Groundhog Day. Get your tickets today.
Welcome back. I'm here with Tony winner Reed Birney of 1984.
Hi.
Yes, thank
Hi.
you.
Great
Thank
to be
you.
here.
Hello, Tony winner Reed Birney.
Well, hello.
I hope you're used to that by now.
You know, it's still a surprise. I'm not going to lie. You know,
I love
I
saying
like it
You
though.
deserve it so well. You deserved it so much. How's it going over there at 1984?
Having a ball. I know that's weird to say, given that the play involves some fairly brutal torture, but you know, you say that like it's a bad thing. It's a really, really nice group of people. I think the show is remarkable. It needs to be seen to be believed.
I saw it. I don't believe it. It's very difficult to sit through at times.
Yes.
Are you a good guy or are you a bad guy?
I'm not going to tell you. I think
Oh,
it's.
man, I thought I could catch you.
Like so many things in our world, it's hard to know.
But having said that, you do some brutal stuff to Tom Sturridge.
Yeah.
Really, really graphic. Tell me about rehearsing that. Tell me about how, like, doing that for the first time.
Well, it's one of those things when you rehearse. I think we mostly marked it in rehearsal. I'm going to take your hand. We're going to do this and do this. And it was pretty. Yeah, it was choreographed and it was pretty technical. And then the magic of the footlights when the audience was in. Then suddenly it became a very real, scary, beautiful thing. Tom is astonishing in the torture scene in that he never once has gone for less than 150%. It's really thrilling to see as a co-actor.
It's full throttle. It
Full
really
throttle.
is. It's full throttle.
But I will say about 1984, I don't think there's ever been anything quite like it on Broadway.
I think that's true. It really taps into a certain kind of paranoia and anxiety. all our issues as New Yorkers.
Well, I think most other adaptations of the book sort of flatten it to the love story and the torture, and it becomes fairly linear and easy to follow, for lack of a better word. But I think Robert Icke and Duncan Macmillan really wanted to recreate the sensation of reading 1984, where you are disoriented and paranoid and you don't know what to believe. And the stagecraft in this production is astonishing. Now, Brits have a much longer history of violence in their theater, starting with our friend William Shakespeare. Somebody was always getting their eyes pulled out. But we don't have that here. So audiences, I think, are really surprised to see what the play does and where it takes them. But having said that, it is not gratuitous, and it is also, a lot of it's left up to the imagination. We don't show anything
That's
real.
true.
It's all
brutal,
suggested.
but it's yeah, that's true. That's true.
So I think as serious theater goes, you sort of owe it to yourselves to see what this is, because there's never been anything like it. Most Broadway plays, the most serious we get is sort of like, should I adopt a baby? That's kind of the
Really?
most, you know.
That is the number one plot on Broadway right now.
Sometimes there's an AIDS issue, and that's pretty serious. But, you know, this is really like nothing you've ever seen. Have I said too much?
Perhaps you have, but who knows? 1984 was written in 1949.
Yes.
I read it in 8th grade. You read it in 8th grade.
Did you read it?
Yes.
It's the #1 book people lie about having read.
I really read it.
Okay.
It was actually 1984 when I read it.
Oh, interesting.
You weren't alive yet.
I think I
Matt Roden.
didn't read it. I think I said I did, but I don't.
You didn't read it? You lied.
I think I did.
Alternative facts are coming out.
Don't
You
hate
have
me.
said on the record that you read it, and now we learn
I
it.
think my 8th grade teacher is long gone, so I think we're safe.
But you revisited it now, and I was thinking that if this play were written right now,
Yeah.
it would not be as terrifying as the fact
That's-
that someone wrote it so long
It's
ago.
absolutely true. If somebody just sat down and wrote a dystopian play, we'd be like, oh, they're just jumping on the bandwagon. But the truth is, the fact that George Orwell saw this 70 years ago is astonishing. He and Winston Churchill apparently both got instantly that TV was a very bad idea. And
There is a line about screens that
Yes.
everyone laughs at, but that wasn't
Yes.
put into the play. That
I
was,
think that's not in the novel, but it might as
Okay.
well have been.
All
I think
right.
it.
All right.
I think it's loud and clear. Winston Churchill did one 10-minute television interview and then said, "I'm out of here." So he knew that was not a good thing for all of us.
Are you ready for a really deep question? I mean,
Ask away.
we have to do. What's O'Brien's first name?
Wow, you've stumped me.
What? I know that you wrote like a character study. Don't you all have to do that? Is that part of the thing?
Yes, what kind of animal I am. Yeah, all
that's
that
how
stuff.
you do the acting
know,
thing,
that's
right?
the
I'm not an
actor's
actor, but I'm pretty
secret, Bev. I can't really share that with you.
So O'Brien doesn't have a first name.
He does, I'm just not going to tell
All right,
you.
I guess I'll take your questions then because my questions don't matter anymore. Forget it. Oh, loved you in Four Friends, blah, blah, blah.
Oh,
I
oh.
think you're fantastic.
Oh, that's nice. Only read the nice ones, okay? Four Friends, that was my first movie in 1980. We filmed it, and I'm still really proud of that movie and that performance. And that was the only movie I made for about 35 years. So it's a little glimpse into me with a full head of hair.
Just a little bit of history, everyone. Julie is asking, how did your work on House of Cards differ for you than 1984? Also, hello from Boston.
Hello, Boston. I went to BU for a couple of years, so I love Boston. Well, Donald Blythe on House of Cards is very different from O'Brien.
He has a first name.
He has a first name, which I'm happy to share. Donald is an idealist and a little bit out of his depth in the Frank Underwood world, and like a lot of us, is sort of trying to figure out how does that world exist and how can we stand for that world, like a lot of us are feeling now. But that's very different from O'Brien. O'Brien is actually quite confident and sure that he's right. He's.
But we don't know if he's a spy. We don't know if
I
Olivia
think
Wilde
he's-
is a spy.
I think.
don't
Well,
know.
we don't
Do
know
we
about
really
Olivia
know?
Wilde, Julia as a spy,
Julia.
but I think O'Brien is very much a party member. He is fully on board.
He has a card. It's a card-carrying
He
member.
is, I think, fairly high up. What we don't know is that Brotherhood thing, the anti-party organization. Is that a real thing, or is that a leg of the party?
Have you tried to map all this out? When you finished your character study, did you do like a flow chart?
No.
I'm so misguided on the acting thing here.
Yeah. Well, that's for another day.
Lindsay's asking, what other book would you love to perform in a stage adaptation of?
Oh, wow, that's an interesting question. Yes. Well, I think I'd like to do some Thomas Wolfe, actually. Those are, only Look Homeward Angel's been done, and they're rich, dense, complicated. They would almost defy stage adaptation fully, but I think there's some interesting stuff.
Right, you're
in
not going
them.
for the easy one here. Nothing easy.
No, of course not.
No, of course not. Have you? Lindsay's also asking, have you seen Jane Howdyshell in A Doll's House Part 2?
Did I ever? She's magnificent as always. She is the real deal, Jane Howdyshell. She is incapable of a false moment on stage. If you haven't seen Doll's House Part 2 and Jane Howdyshell, You really owe it to yourself.
Just a little commercial for Jane
Yeah,
Howdy Shell.
for my pal.
Everyone thinks you're wonderful. I'm just
Oh,
saying
everyone,
that.
thank you.
Bradley's asking, would the cast of The Humans reunite to do a movie version?
Wouldn't that be fantastic? There's a fantasy about that. There is, I'm not going to lie. There's a fantasy about that. We haven't, read in the paper that Meryl and Ed Harris are doing it yet.
Right.
But
That is something that a lot of stage actors open the paper in.
Yeah, until that happens, I think we have a little fantasy that could happen.
Alec is asking, what is the craziest thing that's happened at 1984? And I'm sure there are a lot of crazy things that have happened.
Twice, someone has stood up in the audience and shouted, "Is there a doctor in the house?" Because one night, 4 people in the same row fainted.
Was the air conditioning not working?
I think they weren't enjoying the torture sequence.
So this actually made the papers that people were having these really strong reactions. That's a true thing.
It is a true thing. I know people sort of thought it was cheesy PR. Nurses are standing by in the lobby, but it's a real thing. Less so now. I think now that the word is out and the reviews and everything, I think there are fewer people throwing up. But early on,
Just
when
fewer, not none.
people were unprepared, as we were just talking about, for the violence on a Broadway stage, we had some very serious responses.
So walk me through that. Someone stands up and says, "Is there a doctor in the house?" I've experienced that as an audience member where something like that happens. You're mid-torture.
I'm mid-torture.
What happens? You just
I have a moment of how serious is this? I will say both times that happened, I carried on, because I have a horror of actually talking to the audience. So I
Really?
would just pretend it didn't happen. But there were 2 other times when people in the audience shouted at me.
I was there.
Were you there that night?
I was there.
A
Someone
lady
asked you to
shouted at
stop?
me, told
From the
me to
balcony.
stop. I say, "What year is it, Winston?" And she shouted, "It's 2017, stop this." And we had
not a plant, not a show.
Not a plant, and it was upsetting. It's upsetting. It's also weirdly gratifying to know that you're affecting them and that they're unable to sort of see it as a performance, that they're actually fully
And
in
only
it.
in theater does this happen, where you're having that kind of
This
energy between the actors and the
This
audience.
transference. There was
Yeah.
one show where I looked out at the audience in the middle of torture, and there was a little 9-year-old boy who had come. This was before we'd made the ban on anyone under 13, and he was
Yeah,
like
that's
this.
scary. It's
And it
scary.
was very, very upsetting to me. I thought, we cannot. I felt like I was abusing this poor little boy. So, so shortly after that, they came up with the nobody under 13 thing.
Good idea.
Yeah, it was a good idea.
It was a good idea.
I did not enjoy that.
Okay. Aryan Moyed is asking
Aryan.
you. Hi, Aryan.
Hi, Aryan.
I
He
love
was
you,
in
Aryan.
Humans, for those
He
of
was
you
in The
at home.
Humans, and I'm a super fan
Aryan,
of
what are you
his.
doing?
Aryan, he's always watching me. We're really close.
Okay.
He said, ask him about his treehouse.
Oh my God.
Ooh, the secrets are coming out,
Well,
people.
my wife and I and our kids have a house in the Catskills that is sort of dreamy, and we've had it for 25 years. And ever since I saw Swiss Family Robinson as a little boy,
Thank you, Aryan. Go on.
thank you, Aryan, I wanted a treehouse, and so I was able to build a treehouse last year. That is,
Just last year.
yeah, I mean, better late than never. It's 20 feet in the air. It's got a fireplace and Wi-Fi and hot and cold running water, and it's pretty dreamy.
Is it on Airbnb?
No,
But could it be?
sorry, you have to be my friend. in
Can
order
we
to
be
go
friends?
there. Yeah, we can be friends. Yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah, it is amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you ever go to the main house anymore?
I've spent 2 nights in the treehouse, and the times that I was up at the house by myself, and I felt a little weird leaving the house empty down at the bottom of the hill. I felt sad for the house.
Maybe you should get the house a cat and you'll be
Yeah,
fine.
exactly. Good idea.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm so glad we got that question. And
Yeah.
Aryan said, "You're welcome."
Yeah,
and
thanks,
thank you
Aryan.
again.
I'm
Thank
calling
you
you
again.
later.
Yeah, you're definitely
Yeah.
getting called after this. Michael's asking, first of all, said, what's the most exciting theater you've seen in the past year? Well, you're so busy working, I don't know if there's an answer to that.
You know, I saw Annie Baker's Antipodes at
Mm-hmm.
Signature, which I thought was thrilling. Amazing. Everybody was so good. It was a gorgeous production and spellbinding. I loved that. And I really liked Parallelogram at Second Stage. I thought that was very, very exciting theater.
But he's also asking, what's your dream role?
Oh boy.
You always get this one.
I'm embarrassed to say that all of my dream roles were young men. And Tom in The Glass Menagerie and Edmund in Long Day's Journey, all the parts that every young man wants to play. And I never pictured myself as older, so I never came up with older dream parts. It's
So you need to have a
baffling.
think and make a little list.
Maybe James Tyrone in Long Day's Journey, but I like working on new plays.
Yeah.
I really love creating parts that don't have a million fingerprints all over them.
That's a good point. I'm still a little stuck on the Treehouse, but we'll go on
Yeah.
to that. And then Alec is asking about onstage mishaps at 1984. I don't even want to know. Now, we've heard that there were some injuries maybe early on. Or was that in rehearsal or was
They're
that
in
previous?
rehearsal. Olivia hurt her coccyx and Tom broke a rib or bruised a rib or something like that. They go full on, the two of them. There's no fight choreographer. I think they brought in somebody for a day and they wouldn't let him get up on stage. They just said, don't worry, we're gonna do
Especially
this.
to audiences who are used to seeing very fake stage
A lot
slaps.
of that kind of thing.
It's
we
not
don't
like that
we
in
don't
the
do
theater
that.
court.
She hauls off and slugs
They're
him.
spitting. They're doing stuff.
It's really impressive. Maybe a little crazy-headed, but it's very effective because, like so much else in the play, you really haven't seen that. You see a lot of fake stage combat. It's really hard to do combat on stage and not get hurt, but they go for it every show. It's really something. On stage mishaps, we haven't really had any. Happy to say. Is that wood?
Knock on whatever
Yeah,
this is.
Yeah, this beautiful.
Knock on the shiny
glamorous
table.
shiny table.
All right, I'm going to let you go. There's so many people basically saying you're fabulous and they love you.
Thank you, people. It's really nice.
It's really ridiculous how
It's
much
really
everyone loves
nice.
Reed Birney. Also, I do have a lot of buttons that say "Feel the Burn." Why don't you have one on your lapel?
It's a little weird for me to have one, but I'm delighted that you're wearing it all over the place. Where is
yes,
it?
it's
You left
everywhere.
it home today.
That was part of the campaign for the Humans.
Yes, Andy Snyder, our publicist, came up with "Feel the Burn" at the
And
height
I'm
of
with her for Jane.
And I'm with her with our faces on them. It was inspired.
There are no buttons with your faces on it for 1984, are there?
No, that seems to be
I think you need to talk
an
to
oversight.
people.
Yeah, all right, it's not too late.
So tell us, how long is this show going on?
1984 goes till October 8th at the Hudson Theater, which is an amazing theater. Oldest theater on Broadway, built by a husband and wife who ran it together. They built it in 1903. In 1912, they were in London looking at plays and came back on the Titanic. And he went down with all the jewels. She gave them to him for safekeeping. And he went down, and she came back and then became the first female Broadway producer in history.
What?
It's true.
There's some reaction in the room.
And she ran it until the 30s when she lost it in the Depression. And then it became a radio studio. And then it became an NBC television studio. The Tonight Show with Steve Allen started at the Hudson Theater. And Elvis Presley sang "You Ain't Nothing But a Hound Dog" on the Tonight Show on our stage. In the 20s,
There are just jaws on the floor.
in the 20s, Louis Armstrong and Fats Waller performed in the pit of musicals at the Hudson Theater. It's a deeply historic theater. And then it became, in the 60s, it became a legitimate theater again. Lillian Hellman's Toys in the Attic started there. Jane Fonda did Strange Interlude on that stage. Laurence Olivier did Beckett with Anthony Quinn on that stage.
Wow.
And then it became an art movie house, and then a porno movie house.
You
and
know
then
how art can just slide into
the
porn.
logical progression, it became a gay porno movie house.
Yeah,
and then it sat deserted for decades.
Yes.
And became an event space, I think, about 20-something years ago. And then the Ambassador Theater Group restored it 3 years ago, spent millions of dollars. It's stunning.
It's beautiful. And now it's a place where you get to torture Tom Sturridge nightly.
Yes, the Harrises, the original producers, are spinning in their graves.
You can buy a bottle of wine.
Yeah, and there's real glassware.
Real glass?
No
But
plastic
don't throw it
cups.
at the stage.
And you can take an ice bucket of champagne to your seat.
I mean, you're really selling it, Reed.
Yeah.
You're really selling it.
It's the greatest night out in the history. It's a real date night.
It's a real date night.
1984.
It's so romantic.
Live on Broadway.
1984. Hey, Reed, thanks for coming on because I never learn anything new from you. I can't wait to be invited to your treehouse.
Yeah, yeah, it's true.
People, if you haven't seen 1984, you are missing out.
It
Go
really
see
is
1984.
something. It really is an astonishing evening of theater. And it may be hard to take, but it is important theater. And it's also wildly entertaining. When I say important, it sounds like homework. It's not. It's
like homework.
wildly entertaining. I think you'll be glad you saw this thing, because it's really unlike anything you've ever seen.
Thank you, Reed.
Was that too hard to sell?
No.
Okay.
No, not at all. It's all real. It's all true.
Come
Those
see.
are real facts.
Yeah.
We'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care.
Bye.